Ah, welcome, listeners and viewers, to Rebel Radio, Jamaica. And we are coming to you live from Rockfort in East Kingston. Bright and sunny, cool atmosphere in Rockfort from a climatic point of view. But Rockfort is hot. Ladies and gentlemen, Rockfort is hot. Every night, every night for the last week, you can hear the volley of automatic gunfire coming from the hills. And the first thing in the morning, as if to remind you that you are in Rockfort, it's another volley of gunshots. Now, I don't know. This has been happening for years, years. So this is not a new thing. But the gang feud, the gang violence, which is plaguing the country, is also affecting Rockfort. I can tell you that. And, well, I understand that the listeners and viewers will recall that the Prime Minister earlier this year told the country that the government was going to set up a army camp up in Warwicker Hills. My information is that the military engineers are doing the surveying. We need security. The people are tired of the bloodletting. Tired. And right across the country is the same story. In Tollgate, where I worked some years ago, last night, I understand, a couple was murdered at their gate. Yeah. And all across the country, everyone is affected. There is not one parish that you can name in Jamaica right now where that is immune from the bloodletting. And the authorities, there's no plan. And I want to be challenged on this. I see no plan. I hear of no plan to counter the terrorism, the local terrorism that is plaguing the country right now. Right? And then on top of that, the fights continue. The fights between civilians and the police continues. Right? Every day on social media, you can see the fights. Now, this is an area, this is something I am very certain that if nothing is done to prevent or to stop this, then we are going to see another, there's going to be more bloodbath. There's going to be more bloodbath. Yesterday morning, in broad daylight, walking distance from the Central Police Station, which is the largest police station in the corporate area, a cop was shot. And there are some rumors, especially among the taxi drivers, that this cop was one of those who, according to them, he was too vigilant. Now, a policeman doing his duty can't be too vigilant. Can't be too vigilant. And we those are the kind of things which we must discourage. I hope that Mr. Edgerton Newman of TODS must have heard the numerous voice messages on his platform. I don't know if he has said anything about that as yet. I don't know, but it's something that should not be tolerated. Not at all. Should not. You must have seen a bus involving a passenger bus involving a hate vehicle collision along Constant Spring Road yesterday morning. Reports are that the driver had 120 outstanding tickets. You know, I wonder who owned. The Rebel Radio will have to find out who owned that bus. You know, I have some suspicion, but I don't want to call out my suspicion on the air. But we want to know who is the owner of that bus. So the lawlessness is all around us. On the road, the drivers, the gunmen, everywhere. Children are involved. Yesterday, the police commissioner told us that over 800 children, youngsters over a 4-year period, were involved in serious crimes. Now, that is another sign of the social breakdown in the country. Where are the parents? You know, too many parents have to flee Jamaica in search of better living, of course, to North America, to Europe, and leaving their children under the care of grandparents and foster parents. You know, children need two things. Presence, of course, PRESENTS, but PRESENCE is more important, right? And when the fathers and mothers are away and sending back the barrels of presents, that alone, of course, they will get food to eat and dress up in the latest sneakers and what have you. But the moral fiber, the moral, You need that the moral thread to keep them together and show them the right way. That is missing. That is missing. Well, Rebel Radio is where you get the type of mental nourishment that is required to keep you focused and provide you with important information. We should have been talking to my colleague Bert Wilkinson to understand what is happening in Guyana. We tried, but didn't get through at all. But we are going to be having another journalist later in the person of Enrico Woodford of Capital News in Guyana to tell us what is happening over there. Today is Wednesday. We have our usual talking investments coming up shortly at 6:45, and we are going to be talking to David Collett of Wealth Spring Investments, and also the Executive Vice President, John Murphy, who is in Antigua. Yeah, as I said, this British-based company is spreading its wings in the Caribbean. And Jamaica is one of its target areas. Right now, they are pursuing the acquisition of hotel properties in Antigua. And they have similar intentions for Jamaica. At 7:30, we have to make sure that we are in a position to provide food. So our usual food security and water security, food and water security program we will focus on where we are with the president of the Jamaica Agricultural Society, Mr. Fulton, agricultural scientist, Omer Thomas, and Hugh Johnson. And then at 8:15, I hope to join by Enrico Woodford. And he's going to be bringing us up to date on what is happening in Guyana. As I said, that Guyana is not on the right road now. And this is not a time because Guyana just recently, found some oil resources that if properly, it should be going to the proceeds of those resources should be going to the improvement of the lives of the Guyanese people. But right now, the social fabric in Guyana is not right at all. The political actors need to get their act together. Last week, we heard on this program that poverty was growing in Guyana. Cost of living is high. And the ordinary Guyanese man and woman is sucking salt through a wooden spoon, man. Now, this ought not to be when this is not what we are expecting from Guyana at a time when oil, they have just recently found huge reserves of oil. So we at Rebel Radio, we have to keep our thumbs on the pulse over there because remember, it's our brother and sisters, it's our brothers and sisters. We can't just keep them at a distance, just like how we in Jamaica like to treat with Haiti. This nonsense argument about voodoo is the cause of the plight of the Asian people. No, that is rubbish, man, rubbish. That is the only black country to date which fought for its freedom, right? Haiti's independence was not signed in any office by men in suits. They won their independence on the battlefield, defeating European giants, France, Spain, and knocked the hell out of the hell out of them. And as a result of that, Haiti has been punished and continue to be punished right now, right? By the imperialist powers. Well, I think we are now getting ready to go over to our guests on talking investments. As I said, we have supposed to be talking to David Collett and John Murphy and Vincent Morrison, our own Vincent Morrison, right? So stay tuned. As you know, as I said, we at Rebel Radio, we have to do what we can to get the country to be prosperous, and we are pushing investments, right? Investments so that our people can get gainful employment, and they too can expand their businesses, because Wellspring want to invest in agriculture. Wellspring want to invest in tourism and housing. So those three areas are three critical areas which we need help. And any assistance, genuine assistance, is welcome. So we have to do what is possible to encourage investors. And one of the issues right now, as we speak, is in tourism, where the workers in the tourism sector are leaving the sector, and they are leaving because the wages are too low, and the working conditions sometimes are abusive. And one of the things that is lacking in the tourism capitals, Ochirias and Montego Bay, these workers, there's no housing accommodation for them, right? I see where 2 weeks ago, I was told of a housing scheme. I was informed about a housing scheme in Montego Bay. And when I look at the prices, $15-16 million for a two-bedroom apartment. Now, that is way out of the reach of many tourism workers. It is time for the authorities to do what is the right thing. So we are at the point now where we're going to talk investments, and I gather we have David on the line, David Collett from Wellspring Investment. Good night, David, or it's morning where you are?
Yes, I'm here.
Is it morning or night where you are? You are in Indonesia?
Yes.
This is John.
Yes. John
Murphy, how can I help you?
John Murphy, I know you are in Antigua.
Yes, all right. Good evening. Good evening, my friend. How are you?
Well, I am supposed to be okay. Our other friend David is across the world in Indonesia. How is it over there, my friend David?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's good. I'm in Antigua. I'm just here, as I mentioned. I'm here looking at a project, looking at some projects. But Antigua is doing good.
Yes. What sort of projects are you looking at?
Well, I am working with Mr. McCarthy from Wellspring Investments Limited, and we are exploring a number of projects throughout the region, and one of them happens to be here in Antigua. It's a beachfront property, 120 rooms, and also we are looking at some cruise ship activity, which is well advanced.
Okay. So Wellspring is planning to acquire hotel property in Antigua.
Yeah. Yes. That would be just no. That's just one of the acquisitions. We're also looking at other islands like Belize, Aruba, and Cayman, and also in Miami, in addition to Jamaica.
I was just about to jump at you and ask you if you are going to leave out Jamaica out of that.
Oh no. Jamaica is the home country. It's the home base. The company is registered in Jamaica. The financing is done in Jamaica, and that would be our number one priority. And major headway has been made already with a park and a hotel project.
Yes.
As we are in the planning stage at this point.
Okay. You mentioned something. You mentioned a cruise shipping earlier on. What is your interest in that?
Well, part of our agenda as a company is to incorporate the full tourism product, which would include, of course, the hospitality, which would be the hotel side, but also cruise ship activity, which involves tours, passengers going on day passes, passengers traveling around and doing some tours throughout the island, historic tours. They go to the park, they go to hotels, and that's a big part of our focus.
Okay, I see. So you are looking, as you said, it's like the entire Caribbean to spread your wings, eh?
Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say the entire Caribbean. I mean, we have focused areas that are strategically important for the development. I mean, the key development focus would be airlift. I mean, when you have a good airport and you have significant airlift, then you can participate in the investment, and that would help with the occupancy, and it would also help with cruise ship arrivals.
Okay, that's very good news. Tourism is very big business in the Caribbean. But do you care to tell me a little more about your pursuits in Jamaica?
Well, I mean, our pursuits in Jamaica are in line with the overall strategy. I mean, there's a number of resorts being contemplated. We have already completed what we call a review and a due diligence on two significant hotel projects. And also we have the park, a park which is located in Falmouth area that we are also pursuing. You know, in the investment and development arena, one needs to be a little careful in mentioning the actual, names and locations, because otherwise you will attract undue competition.
Okay, I understand that. Yes. But it is. I understand that, John. You have to keep some of your cards close to your chest. I understand that.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
I know that Wellspring has interest in other areas too. David. David.
Yes.
Yes. For example, probably you want to just tell us about your Wellspring interest in housing.
Yeah, I mean, as we said, the whole idea is sustainable housing, sustainable agriculture, and sustainable energy. On the housing front, things are moving quite well. We had some response from the board, the board of control board, got a this week, and the type of construction methods they seem quite happy with. So that seems to be moving forward quite well. But our first approach would be the low income housing, a community which would be green community housing. But the whole thing spreads across with what my colleague is saying, even hotel tourism nowadays. Uh, the guests are getting very circumspect about where they're going, what the hotels provide. So this whole idea of delivering food and an environment that is eco-friendly uh, also blends with what John is doing on the wider view. But yeah, it seems as of yesterday we got a letter. I mean, it's still very early days, of course, that the actual materials and the technology we're using was acceptable to Jamaica.
Okay.
So I was quite pleased to hear that.
Yes.
Obviously, that's the very first phase. But whilst we've got Argosol, which has built all over the world villas, hotels, we actually want to start on the lower income community modular and build a whole small village, maybe up to 500 houses, which would all, which would have everything about them to be as green as possible, including solar, battery, and other elements built in from day one. So yeah, I'm quite pleased, Roger and myself, on that front, and monitoring very closely.
Yes.
But the whole thing is back to John's, because this is really about tourism today. Uh, Tourists are looking, and when they're paying high prices, are looking to make sure where they are is eco-friendly, green. So if you can
Yeah.
replace the diesel generators, because some of these very nice places are off grid because of the scenic quality and the grids aren't always that good to get to those places. They're running on noisy, polluting diesel generators. So, my objective is to make sure any hotels that are built or have integrated the latest efficiencies we can and reduce, the CO2. So
Mm-hmm.
as we have technologies that will reduce air conditioning and chilling and refrigeration costs in hotel by 30%. May not sound much, but actually 60%, I think John concur, of all the energy
Oh
costs
no, that's
in a
significant.
hotel,
Yeah, that's
in a
significant.
hotel
That's very
are,
significant. Yeah.
yeah. So if we can apply those technologies to the tourism industry in Jamaica, we can save a lot of carbon emission and help Jamaica to its COP26 target in 2030, and also obviously keep the costs down. And as our friend said last week, he went to the market, and I think I converted the price of a kilo of tomatoes to $5.5 a kilo. Well, if you get locally grown organic produce, we can easily bring it down much. And we're just, as I think I mentioned last week, signing the lease at Rose McCarthy's farm, the first 13 acres, and that is where this near there is about a mile away, is where the first low income community development will be built as well.
Okay. And I recall you saying that you like to, and this is my terminology. You would be like your agricultural model is from the farm to the plate. So, for example, you would want to produce
Yes.
your vegetables and other food stuff for the hotels. Is
Yes,
that
Yes.
and
Yes. Yes.
yes, and for the hotels, what we do, which is a nice touch, because you have 3-star, 4-star, 5-star, whatever, you have chefs. We will have polytunnels dedicated to the various hotels. So I'll just use a name. It's not any name relevant to this, but let's say it's a Kempinski hotel. Okay,
yes?
so the chef from the Kempinski can have 3 polytunnels sectioned off from everything from herbs, basil, garlic, to strawberries and for that hotel. Tourists who go around the island can go to the farm and see what what they're eating, where it's grown. Now, while we're on this subject, I would like to mention, because I do want to clear things up. Last week, our dear doctor mentioned that why don't we look at tractors and mechanisation? And being British, I was very polite. Um, what they told me, what Jamaica has is every year is heavy rain, right? And the rain is not going to go away, correct? Yeah.
Yes,
So
yes,
really,
we are in the
yeah,
tropics.
yes. So you're not solving the problem. You may be getting the crops faster and make more land, but you'll still have the same amount of crops washed away every year. So let's get real, shall we? And this polytunnels is the real answer, because they're grown under polytunnel and protected from the rain. And I did feel last week that was just sort of pushed to one side to talk about let's get noisy tractors. It doesn't solve your problem. It does not solve the problem, and it doesn't grow you the yields you want. So
Yes.
if we're going to crack this problem, and again, I have to say, uh, millions and billions are invested in food technology, in aquaponics, hydroponics, polytunnel growth. This is not something, as I was referred to last week, in a London textbook. I left London University in 1973, and I've been in 40 countries in the world. And Jamaica is no different. It has the same environmental problems. So let's start thinking outside the box and not going down the same thing. You know what you know, and you don't know what you don't know. And I'm afraid we're bringing technologies that are not in everybody's speciality. So I was a little bit surprised at the reaction last week, and I'm saying that because tractors aren't innovation; they're just one step on the dark age route. We've got to grow things and protect them to grow the right yields.
Okay, gentlemen, we are going to take a break. Just hold it for a moment. As we are talking to David Collett and John Murphy from Wellspring Investments and Talking Investments. We'll be back.
Hey, it's a girl Shensia with a message to you from myself and the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Shen Yang, everyone feel wear a mask with the numbers drop. I don't want COVID, lay you down flat. Nose and mouth to fi cover up that. Oh oh, oh oh. Sanitizer, get hospitalized. Fight the virus and fight for your life, yeah. Nobody talk about say you no response no more. Don't be reckless, cause you test us, so you know have you can still get the virus from somebody. Don't be reckless, cause you test us, so you know have you can still get the virus. So keep the numbers down, protect yourself and the people around. COVID in town, 6 feet apart, 6 feet in the ground. Keep the numbers down, protect yourself and the people around. COVID in town, 6 feet apart, 6 feet in the ground. Hey, stay alive, stay alive, stay.
Yes. We are talking to David Collett and John Murphy of Wealth Spring Investment, this London-based investment company. And as I said, they are spreading their wings in the Caribbean, Belize, Antigua. As we speak, John is in Antigua. I'm negotiating the acquisition of resort property over there. Before we took the break, David was making the link between how his entity plans to provide fresh food and vegetables from the farm. Um, and that is good news for Jamaica because at the moment we import US $1 billion for food every year. And a large amount of this food, is for the hotel sector. Now, $1 billion is far, far more than what we earn from exports. So any move, any initiative to reduce our import bill is welcome by all of us. John,
Absolutely.
yes, David, David and John, I would like both of you to explore that idea and tell us how you, by your activities, your investment activities, could contribute to a reduction in our food bill. Gentlemen, go.
Well, look, from the hotel standpoint, from the hotel standpoint, I mean, we clearly understand that the value and the necessity in order to be creative, which David is saying, in order to counteract the extremely high shipping costs and also the delivery channels. And this technology that's being discussed about where you would grow these items locally will certainly help to reduce those costs. But also we have initiatives that we would work with local farmers and with local producers to produce products as well independently for the hotels. In order to reduce the costs that you have just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
As far as another item on the hotel side, which I didn't mention earlier, but I would take this opportunity just to mention it now, is that we also have vacation. We're also implementing a vacation club. A vacation club is where a guest would invest money as an ownership, especially returning Jamaicans, for example, from that would come home every year, every other year.
Yes.
They would have a place to stay, and that in itself also would create valuable foreign exchange and some very good returns as from a hotel investment standpoint.
Yeah. So, okay. Desmond?
Yes,
Desmond?
yes, go ahead.
Desmond?
Yes.
Yeah. Just getting some hard numbers on your balance of payments and imports. Apart from what we would like to develop into a 300-acre site, we will, picking up on John's point as well, we'll be training local farmers and try and obviously help them by putting polytunnels on their land and operating profit share. And I think if we could roll it out, it may take 2, 3, even 5 years in total. We'd probably reduce the import bill on food and vegetables by about 30%. And we're also would start canneries for tomato juices, fruit juices, and other vegetables on the island. So we would also attack the not just the fresh produce, but the import of tomatoes and other things from other countries. So our target's about 30%. And I think, I don't know if I'm right, but I think probably of the produce imported, the hotels take about 40% when you tot it up. In the Seychelles, they take 70%. In Mauritius, 25%. So it's very similar numbers, I think, Mauritius to Jamaica. Mm-hmm. And that's the way to do it. Because the one thing you mustn't forget about islands, you've got a finite amount of land. So yes. The idea of the polytunnels, it has no season. It grows 3 harvest years, and it grows a greater yield. So you get from 1 acre what you would get from 5 acres on open farming without the
Right.
risk of losing 50% or all your crop. So
Mm.
that's the importance of the scientific growing undercover. But the investment is it's to start with, is more, but it is profitable for farmers and it will raise their standard of living and income. So we will get a training centre after the first phase when we've got sufficient land for farmers to come, to.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Very good point.
Yes. So the
Okay, that's what I really comment on that, Desmond.
yes, go ahead. Go ahead, John.
Have we lost Desmond, John?
Yes, John,
It
go
looks
ahead.
like it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
unless I don't think he's on a break right now, but I'm sure he'll call us back right away.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I don't think that we can call him actually.
No.
Back.
Oh, wait a
What?
minute.
You're not hearing
No,
me?
you're back on.
Yes, you're not hearing me.
Oh,
Yeah, we
I'm
can hear
hearing
you.
you now. No, now I'm hearing you
Yeah,
now.
no,
Yeah,
no.
no,
Oh.
Desmond,
Yeah, we can
Desmond,
hear you.
I'm hearing you now. That's fine.
Okay. So go ahead with your comment. You were making a point. John.
No, well, I was going to add in a point that this is an extremely creative concept and one that guarantees a service delivery and a quality of product to the guest. We are, I've been doing this for quite a number of years in the Caribbean. I came in 1988, so I've been doing it in many different islands. And we have seen changing habits and changing themes in terms of how people eat and how they drink. Actually, we see that people are drinking a lot less now than they used to, and they're drinking more wine than they are liquor. Although rum is still a very hot commodity for good reason. But the quality of food is important. It's not the quantity anymore. It's not the quantity. It's the quality.
Yes.
And if you can deliver a well balanced, menu, a well balanced menu with fresh food item, with fresh quality food, both the wholesalers, the tour operators, and the guests themselves are certainly looking for that type of experience.
Right. And gentlemen, I think this is David. David, I know we have discussed, or you raised this point already in a previous discussion, but on the energy side, could you just touch how Wellspring intend to reduce the energy bill in its business activities in Jamaica and the Caribbean?
For sure. So, yes, for sure. Well, let's just start with the 3 phases. One is reduce existing energy costs, generate energy, and then eventually store energy. Now, the first 2 are very achievable and actually save money on the current situation. The third one is still slightly challenging, but improving every day in terms of the cost of battery storage. So we do focus on hotels because they use a huge amount of energy and take it from the grid. Now, in Jamaica, the grid will be no different from any grids in the Caribbean or other islands. They won't be the latest grid, and they do struggle with the amount of power they have to deliver. So by putting renewables, which is solar PV, on the roofs of hotels, not so much on the ground because land is valuable, but you can get a megawatt easily on a hotel, and that can help an awful lot with the reduction, and the price of the energy will be usually about 30% less than what they're paying from the grid. But sometimes there are politics involved, vested interests. So our way would be to try and do as much off-grid first, and then assist the state-owned grids to reduce, to be more efficient. Because many places say, oh, you've got, our guest last week talked about sending the power back to the grid. Well, if we got about 50 megawatts of power on the island, which would be good for reducing carbon emissions, and we sent it all back to the grid directly, we would blow the grid up. So because renewables can only be 12% renewables. So we have to plan this with the local grid, and we have to be able to provide wherever possible independently, but we'll always work with the policies of the country. We talked about waste to energy, which was 170 million investment to get rid of all the waste and sanitation problems and generate electricity. So it will be solar PV, it will be putting energy efficiency technologies like I spoke about on air conditioning, chilling and refrigeration. It will be using have electric charging points at the hotels, and it will be making sure that everybody's got LED and something like, I don't know where the island's got it, it's my ignorance, but we do solar LED street lighting. I've just had requests for the city of Victoria in Seychelles for 350 streetlights. They don't run on grid power. They run independently. Better lighting, better lumen level. Same for schools. Good quality LED reduces 62% your energy bill. Desmond.
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Yeah. You know, you go into a bank and you see a panel on the roof, in the ceiling panel, right?
Yes.
And in the panel, it's usually got fluorescent lighting, and it's got this metallic behind it. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. That produces 72 watts. If you replace the same per hour, if you put the same LED with 2 LED, you have more power, better lighting, and it's 26 watts. You've actually reduced the power by 62%. So if you did that in all the schools, in all the hotels, in all the offices, in all the government buildings, it's such an easy thing to do. It takes 15 minutes to put a panel in. And LED will last 100,000 hours, and your fluorescent lighting will last 30,000 hours. So when somebody tells me it's expensive, cheap is expensive because you have to replace the fluorescent 3 times. So in fact, LED is half the price over a period of time. So You've got to start thinking long term and not the cheapest and not at the box, you know?
Yes. Well, I can tell.
Unfortunately, that applies to my wife's shopping.
I can tell you, gentlemen, anything that can be done right now to reduce our energy bill is welcome, because consumers are feeling it, the business sector feeling it, everybody feeling it. Just because
Desmond, it's not Desmond.
Yes. Go ahead.
If I can, Desmond, if I can comment, Desmond, it's not only in your country that the utilities and the energy is so expensive. It's certainly a region-wide problem. Everywhere we have looked so far, we have looked at, in Belize and Aruba. We have been to those areas. We have looked at them. Here in Antigua, also the cost of the utilities are very high, and I have to applaud Mr. McCarthy for his vision in finding the investment and having the foresight to look at this in a very holistic fashion. As we talk about different elements of the business model and the way forward, without investment and without funding, which I know has taken the best part of 10 or 12 years, it would not be possible to have the conversation and for us to succeed. But yes, reducing and being creative about the energy cost is absolutely crucial for any business model.
Okay. And gentlemen, tell me something now. I know that your plans will have the effect of increasing employment. Do you have a training component? Do you intend to have a training component?
Yes. Part and parcel of the hospitality program will be a training element. Because obviously it's labor intensive. I mean, we need a large number of employees, which of course creates jobs. And then, of course, the customers coming to the hotel will create foreign exchange. And it goes around in that fashion. But in order to deliver the service delivery to the customers, we're very conscious that we have to have in-house our own internal, but also external training programs. We would lean heavily on the universities, the local universities. We would go to the local schools. We would be hiring, just like what we're doing today and what many hotels are doing today. We would be encouraging students from those universities, from those academic areas, to come and join the industry and to work in our hotels, and then provide them the ongoing coaching, training, and development so that they can reach the highest levels in the industry and become general managers and managing directors.
Gentlemen, I must alert you to something. In the Caribbean, post COVID, one of the issues is that hotel workers have fled their jobs in droves for overseas jobs. And this is because the salaries are very low and unattractive. Are you aware of this?
Sure. No. I mean, this is an inherent challenge. We have, of course, all our cruise ship partners come to recruit staff. We have now, more and more we see people from Canada coming to recruit, employees, students rather, and they offer them opportunities. We have to react to that, and we are reacting to that by having sufficient benefits, having service charge, having gratuities programs, and also improving the salary structure that people can have a living wage. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Yes. And I can tell you something that
Yeah.
your housing component will be very, very complementary, because another issue facing the hotel workers in Jamaica is the lack of housing. So in the resort area, in the resort areas, affordable housing for the tourism workers is very scarce. So I'm
Yeah.
sure
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure you'll be looking at that in your as part of your
Absolutely.
housing solution.
Indeed.
Yeah. Apprenticeship is very important, and we'll be setting up training apprenticeship schemes. The same in agriculture. Many young people haven't been attracted to traditional methods of farming. So by making it high tech, again, we attract people back into the industry and train them. Our chief scientific officer, Alex Bushell, who works with Greenwich University, will also bring people over to London to be trained, but he will be there on site, and he has more medals than Mark Spitz, if you can remember Mark Spitz, for what he's done. He's a great innovator. Yeah. So training is a key factor in bringing people into the industry, maintaining them in the industry, and obviously we would create a significant number of jobs, something like 300 on the farming side to 500, and quite a similar number on building. So it's quite a big impact. If we get the cooperation of the government, we're allowed to move at the right pace. We don't get hung up with red tape. We can make impact. But that's the message that must go over to the government and everybody else as well. We have to be able to deliver what we're trying to do. So we need the ultimate cooperation of the Jamaican people, which want it, but also the Jamaican government and the, if you like, the policies that exist. But certainly the food will be organic and healthier. I mean, I can only give you a quick example. In the 70s, they used pesticides in Mauritius, and they've got so many cancer-related problems from that. Whereas having organic, fresh food also helps the whole health risk, as with many of these things we are doing.
Okay. So organic food, healthier food, fresher food, and cheaper food. That
Mhm.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Um, the,
Yes.
the other thing, gentlemen, is that as John pointed out a while ago, that you cross a major hurdle this week, because when you were informed by the Bureau of Standards in Jamaica that your the construction model material that you intend to use has been given the green light. Is that so, John?
Yeah.
No, I think that's for David. Is that David?
Yeah,
That
yeah,
you-
yes, yeah, yeah. Well, that's for David and obviously Roger. But yes, we've seen the letters. We've seen the letters back to our engineer, and they say it's fine. They recognise the material is a reliable, well-used material. They obviously now happy with the steel construction, which was a bit of a red herring, really, because as I tried to mention, you wouldn't expect international companies to use poor quality steel. So, and as there is no steel in Jamaica, it has to be, as you pointed out, Desmond, last week, coming in from, good quality manufacturing. So that was actually cleared up.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
otherwise, everything is fine. So, yes, we're pleased to say that that's the case. Yeah.
And I must say that I welcome the news that your company will start kicking off the game in Saint Han, the Garden Parish. That's gentlemen, that's the parish
Yes.
for that is Marcus Garvey's parish. Marcus Garvey is Jamaica's first national hero, and so the people of Saint
Oh,
Ann,
wonderful.
I am raising the flag that the people in Saint Ann, and that is near where you are, where you intend to start is not very far from Saint Anne's Bay, that they must look out down the road. Lots of houses are coming, agriculture and tourism. Right in that parish, there's a major tourism
Absolutely.
area. So
Absolutely.
that's a welcome news for the people of St. Anne. Gentlemen,
Different type of independence.
of course. Yeah. Gentlemen, we are running out of time now. So I'm going to ask each of you, to say your last word until next week. David, you want to kick off? You want to start? You want to say your last prayers?
Well, yeah. Well, we just pray that with the fair wind and the support of the Jamaican people and the government, we deliver to improve the quality and life of the local population and the income, of course.
Okay. John?
Yeah, well, I want to say that Wellspring Investments is a Jamaica company. We understand Jamaica. We have a good understanding. I have worked there for 15 years. We understand the Caribbean. The visionary of Mr. McCarthy and his approach in finding the funding and making things happen is certainly a step in the right direction. We're going to be innovative, creative, and work towards providing jobs and also at the same time creating foreign exchange and having a productive and engaging business model that everybody can benefit from.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you very, very much for your participation this evening. And, talking investments is a permanent fixture on Rebel Radio. So I'm sure we'll be having more discussions with both of you. So
All right.
you stay safe and have a good night. That was.
All right. Thank you very much indeed. Now, good evening. Bye now. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Pleasure is mine.
Thank you, Desmond.
Yes. That was John Murphy and David Collett from Wellspring Investments telling us about their plans to invest in the Caribbean and in Jamaica. That's very good news. This is Rebel Radio. When we return, when we resume, we are going to go to the talk about food security. Stay tuned. This is Rebel Radio.
Do it for your best life. Go check your HIV status. So keep your life trending, no pretending. Me, I tell yourself it do it for you, do it for you. Every time you are link with a condom, coulda Ozzy, coulda wife, coulda be a random. Condom connect and protect your profile. Be your own fan. Do it for your best life. Do it for your best life. Do it. Don't put yourself at risk. Condom connect every time. Do it for your best life. Do it.
Ever wanted to share what you know about a crime, but were too afraid? At Crime Stop, we make it easy for you to report on crimes safely and 100% anonymously. All it takes is 4 simple steps. First, contact the tip line at 311 or visit www.crimestop.org or www.311tips.com. Then share what you know anonymously with one of our trained counselors. Any information related to criminal activity is accepted. We don't want to know your identity. We don't record calls or use star 69, and there is no way of tracing tips over the phone or online. You'll also be given a file number for your tip. Next, track the progress of your tip by calling our tip line at 311 and quoting your file number. Finally, if your tip leads to success, you will be eligible for a cash reward. Rewards will be paid out upon request through a trusted disbursement agency with verification process to ensure that your identity remains hidden. Share what you know anonymously.
Keep the island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it. Keep the island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it.
No dash, no paper, no dash, no plastic. Dispose your garbage responsibly. No know how to recycle, learn it quick. And if you drop it, better pick up every piece of it. Plastics lasts forever, don't forget the bits. Cause when them touch the street, them end up in the sea. Collect pan the reef where they fish them feed. And when you want seafood, I eat your
Keep
eat.
the island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it. No dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica. With a message to you from myself and the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Shen Yang, everyone feel wear a mask, get the numbers drop. I don't want COVID, lay you down flat. Nose and mouth, you fi cover up that. Oh, 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 sanitize or get hospitalized. Fight the virus and fight for your life, yeah. Nobody talk about say you no response no more. Don't be reckless, cause you test say you no have, you can still get the virus from somebody. Don't be reckless, cause you test say you no have, you can still get the virus. So keep the number down, protect yourself and the people around. COVID in town, 6 feet apart, 6 feet in the ground. Keep the number down, protect yourself and the people around. COVID in town, 6 feet apart, 6 feet in the ground. Stay alive.
You. Are you there? Hello, you.
One, two, three, two more. 1, 2. Adults to 30 minutes activity. Love your body, treat your body right. Vegetables, make sure you eat plenty. Children do 60 minutes activity daily. Drink some water when you feel thirsty. Cut down dessert and have a smoothie. Jamaicans, love your body, treat your body right. Love your body, treat your body right. Just eat right. Love your body, treat your body right. Love your body, treat your body right. One more time now. Love your body, treat your body right. Love your body, treat your body right. Just eat right. Love your body, treat your body right. Love your body, treat your body right.
Yes, hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Rebel Radio. I'm Desmond Richards. And every Wednesday night at this time, we talk about food and water security. And this evening, we have with us the president of the Jamaica Agricultural Society, Mr. Fulton, Lenworth Fulton, and well-known agriculturist Hugh Johnson. Gentlemen, are you there? Hello?
I am.
Yes, I'm
Yes,
here this month.
Okay,
Sir Fulton,
Mr. Fulton
Mr.
is there.
President.
All right, Mr. President, you are there. Mr. Johnson, are you there?
Yeah, man, I'm right here. I don't know if you're hearing me, but I'm hearing you clearly.
I am hearing you loud and clear too.
Are you
Gentlemen,
hearing me?
I am hearing you loud and clear. Are you hearing me? Hello?
Yes, I am. We are
Yes,
here.
I am.
All right, okay. Gentlemen, you know, one of the issues that came up last week was that, it is not, I am told that it is not unusual, but the prices of food, vegetables specifically, and has gone up significantly. Are you aware of this? Mr. Fulton, what is behind this?
Well, the series of unfavorable weather, which brings excessive rain, plus people are eating more healthy, and as a result of all of these, vegetables are in short supply. Tomato went up last week at the Livingston market to be $500 per pound.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So by Christmas,
I
it might
see the
reach
wheat,
800. Huh? If it
it
continues.
might, but if they do not import, because when things like this happen, you just see tomato coming from other countries,
Okay. Yeah. And
which
so,
we don't agree with, but that's what happened.
yes, yes. So you have attributed the shortage to unfavorable weather conditions, right? But but
Yes.
tell me something. it- do we, and I'm talking about the farmers, are we equipped? Yes, we have some adverse weather, but this is not, we are not strange to that. So the question is, what is put in place? What is being done to ensure that
Well, there was a project to ensure that we have enough shade house under cover.
yes,
Probably we need more than 1,000 acres of shade house under cover so that we could grow these crops through both a dry spell and a wet spell without having the devastation that we're seeing.
mm-hmm.
You see that these two crops, Irish potato and tomato, suffer from a fungus called early blight or late blight, which damage the plants and the leaf and kill the plant totally. And that is prevalent in any wet spell. So if the rain falls continuously, then it's just difficult to control that fungus in the open field.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But you could do some control if you had shade house.
So what is being done to speed up that process?
The project was started by government, and most of who got the shade houses weren't really farmers, I must tell you. And they walk away from them because they thought that a shade house operation is an easy operation. They didn't stick to it, nor improve. So I guess some of it was wrong selection of farmers.
So,
Another was wrong location, and so on. So I think we should revisit that.
But what role did the JAS play in selecting those personnel and areas?
Well, to be frank, most of government resources go through RADA. They don't come through the Jamaica Agricultural Society. So that's really RADA, which is the government, arm through which they spend money. For what reason, I don't know. Because the JS itself is circumscribed by an act of parliament. We are government in a sense too. If they do not extend the funding to you, nor even the invitation, then we have limited impact with some of these programs.
I see. We are now being joined by Dr. Omar Thomas. Doctor, are you there?
Yes, I am here. I am here. I'm
Well-
listening to
well-
Mr. attentively to Mr. Fulton.
Yeah, welcome, sir. Before you came, we were just exploring the idea of how we can prevent destruction or devastation of our crops during wet season. And Mr. Fulton was told us about a project some time ago that was initiated to do just that, but it failed. Were you aware of this, Doc?
Yes, it is. It is trying. It's trying to not failed and failed miserably too. Because as Fulton said, though, that the selection of the person could have been better. Could have been a little bit better. And
We are not. Hold on, Doc. We're
the
not
hype
hearing.
that
We're not hearing you well at all. You are cracking up. Let us try and sort out Doctor line for me. Doc is line is cracking up. Let us go to you. You, what say you about this program that was launched? You.
I must say that for decades we have been launching programs and they have been failing. And if nothing changes, nothing changes. The whole increase in the prices of food items, even though the vagrants of the weather factor in a particular time might influence it, but there's a larger and a broader issue for us to tackle, which is to enable the players in the industry to be comfortable in putting in the requisite facilities. Because as a country, we can't produce only in time for consumption. I remember in the 70s, we used to have the AMT where facilities were there to even keep produce over a longer period of time, and so on and so forth. We seem to be reactive in Jamaica as it relates to agriculture and our food security. It's time for us to be proactive and not reactive. We have been warning for quite some time now the impending challenges that are external to us. And those have not taken their full root on us as yet. Moreover, our internal bundling and tripping over ourselves to produce for ourselves. We need a comprehensive program, a comprehensive plan from government, and not just a knee-jerk reaction to the situation. It can't be in the 21st century. We have so much arable land in this country and still importing 80% of the food we consume. It's
I would just say this,
suicidal to be doing that.
Yeah.
And there must be a plan on the powers that be to change that and pack with the suitcase or the briefcase importers having peace control as it relates to our suppliers. Thank you.
Let us bring back Dr. Thomas.
I hear Mr. Johnson. I hear Mr. Johnson quite well, but I want to put something in the mix. And that whether or not we bring the arable land production, we are still going to be afflicted by the vagaries of the weather. Okay? Now, there's not much we can do about that. What we should be doing is to establish plans and programs that once we have an affliction of the weather in the way it has afflicted us over the past weeks, we have what it takes to immediately go in as soon as the weather allows us, so that the window of loss and scarcity will be much shorter.
Mm.
So those are the things that we expect that people like Mr. Johnson and Mr. Fulton could engage the government in programs of this nature so that they can have them ready for implementation as soon as the adverse weather happens.
But gentlemen, isn't the greenhouse?
Sir Richard.
Hold a second. Isn't the
Sir
green?
Richard.
Yes.
I'm not hearing Sir Thomas clearly. I think I'm hearing about 30% of what he's saying.
Yeah.
But what I'll say, based upon what I've heard, I'll say the people we are importing from, the 80% of our consumption, they only have planting season for 3 or 4 months of the year, and they are supplying us. So for us to blame the vehicle of the weather for our condition, it's a slight excuse. We can do much better. Notwithstanding, we have no immediate control over the weather, but proper planning can take us through these periods safely. That's all I'm saying. And we are not doing that at this time as a government, as a Ministry of Agriculture, and as a people.
No, but Dr. You and Dr. Thomas were not far apart, because what he's saying is that we cannot do anything to adjust our weather pattern. So we must take preventative measures. And I am asking if the greenhouse farming isn't one such measure that should be encouraged. Dr. Thomas, are you there again? Dr. Thomas?
Yes. The greenhouse farming should be one of those that could be used. Okay?
Yes.
But understand the cost for establishment of a greenhouse or a whole house, those protected agricultural activities, they are not cheap.
Yes.
Okay? They're not cheap. And because they're not cheap, we should carefully select the persons who we encourage to invest in this type of agriculture, so that they would be a part of the solution after an adverse weather has passed, or while the adverse weather is passing, that there's minimal effect on the production of the crops.
Yes.
But if you pick up greenhouse and hand it over to somebody who could not manage quarter of an acre, 1 square of a crop, this greenhouse is going to fail, because there's a certain amount of financial resources required to sustain that type of production.
Okay. So
this is not the same as planting up and neglecting it.
As Mr.
So what we should do is, when the rain is falling, when we know the rain is about to occur, we needed to get all of these people together and all the mechanisms in place to immediately ramp up production as soon as the weather passes. That's what we need to do. So we would have all the cohort of farmers and investors who we know are going to have the wherewithal to put the seeds in the ground, have the fertilizers and everything ready to start to plant as soon as the weather goes.
Okay. So there's a lot of restructuring.
Because there's no reason why we should be importing some sweet peppers inside here from the United States now. There's no reason why we should be importing it. It is a 6-week crop. As a matter of fact, too, depending on your production cycle, you can do it in a way that you plant the lettuce and within 4 weeks you're ready for market.
Yes. Gentlemen, we are concentrating on the root crops. But let me hear you on, because we are approaching a time of the year when there is high demand for pork, chicken, and other meat. Now, I know there's a tendency when it comes to this time of the year for us to import. What is the situation? Are we producing enough pork to sustain our demand?
No, not at
Well,
all. Yeah.
not at all, but go ahead, Omar. Go ahead.
Yeah, not at all. We are not doing that at all. But what happens is that the demand is for pork legs and the pork shoulder for
Yes.
processing for the Christmas market.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and remember, we definitely we have to import some of that because we don't have enough hogs from which we can take legs alone, legs and shoulder
Yes.
for making. And what do we do with the balance of the carcass?
Mm-hmm.
You see, so there's some amount of import that has to be done.
But are you saying our farmers couldn't fill that gap?
I'm not saying that they can't, but it takes a concerted effort and a type of policy direction that will allow this to happen. Because when
What?
the farmers stepped up to the plate to produce the hogs, but at the same time, we have a very loose import regime that allow for the imports of pork and pork products inside here, even without the knowledge of the state and the state apparatus.
Oh, I see.
And,
So
and
so
yes,
therefore it becomes
and nobody, and I tell you, nobody wants to plug that. Nobody wants to plug that because even the farmers who are so affected, when you sit with them to drill down to the real root cause, everybody becomes silent.
so
They want
benefiting from
things
it.
to be done, but they don't want to be named as those who are participating in having it done.
So are you saying some of the pig farmers are importers too? Is that what you're saying?
Some of the pig farmers are importers.
Oh, I see.
And there are other farmers, there are other people, other importers who import outside of the formal import mechanisms.
Yes. I see.
I hope you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand. I understand what you are saying. I clearly understand
Yes.
what you are saying. And
although
Mr. Johnson,
we know,
Mr. Johnson referred to them
although
as
we know,
Mr. Johnson referred to them as briefcase importers.
look,
right?
yes, but remember, some of the briefcase importers, the briefcase importers, they pass through the customs, they pay whatever duties to be paid, whatever waiver they get, they would get that. I'm talking about the other ones who import into Jamaica outside of that mechanism.
Hold on, clarify that for me some more. And when you say outside of the mechanism, you mean smuggling? Is that what you're talking about?
Smuggling, of course.
Okay, all right. So if you have these smugglers, then I wonder what is custom doing about that, or that is beyond custom.
I think that is beyond custom.
Wow.
That's beyond customs.
But doctor, I don't understand you because this is not like guns and clothing. We're talking about meat that has to be frozen. No, I wonder how that passed through the wharf, because I can't believe.
So which wharf? Which wharf?
So I can't believe that these are coming through the same loopholes that is used to smuggle guns into the country.
I don't know, but they have something that offer us wharfs, eh?
Okay.
I think you may know of sufferance wharf. You know the term?
yeah, yeah, I'm not totally au fait with it, sir, but I've heard the term before.
Yeah, they're sufferance wharves.
Yes.
And those sufferance wharves are poorly supervised.
Poorly supervised, yes, I see.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, listen to me, recommendations were made, outlined protocols put in place where those things can be nipped, not in the bud, nipped.
Yeah.
And they have not been given the time consideration that is required. It's on paper. It's on paper as to what can be done to stop that.
Yes, yes, yes.
But nobody is willing to bell the cat, or even if they don't bell the cat, nobody is willing to stop the cat from behaving the way they do.
Yeah. You, Mr. Johnson, you share Dr. Thomas's views about the fact that there are too many loopholes for smugglers to take in goods into the country, and nothing is being done about it.
I'm not talking about in particular.
Yeah. Mr. Johnson, are you there? Hello? Look like we have lost you. Mr. Fulton. You listened to you heard what Dr. Thomas said?
Yeah, yes, I heard him, yes.
Yes. So what is your take on that, on what he said?
Well, although the veterinary division can show you that they do not issue import license for pork, things like that, how do you know what is coming in from one of these fishing boats that can meet another boat midway in the sea and carry anything here? There's no real system to check on them. You're not going to a formal port. You're going anywhere you have the area where a boat can come in. It's very, anything can happen. Because when they come in with fish, there's no custom officer which is checking these vessels either.
Yes. I see.
So there are things that people can exploit.
But look, everybody knows that the way it is done. Everybody knows it. It's not a secret. But nobody is willing to implement the mechanisms that are put forward to stop it.
Yeah.
Fully agree with that.
Yeah. Mr. Johnson.
Fully agree.
Mr. Johnson, are you back with us?
Yes, I'm back with you. I'm back with
the team. We lost you.
What I'll say on that though, Desmond, is that I tend not to want to agree with my two colleagues, because I am convinced that no Banduloism or racket can survive in this country for more than a month without either some politician or some security personnel involved in it. If there is no political influence in it, or no one from the security force undermining it, it will be mashed up in 30 days. Believe me, I've come to that conclusion.
So
and I say it all the time that even though we lambast those two areas of politics and security, but you can't have a corrupt police force in a decent business society. You cannot have a decent or a corrupt political system in a decent business society. It's the business people. We must get rid of the corruption before we can even solve the politics or the police. And I've been saying that for decades, but no one is prepared to bail the cat.
So
we'll continue same old.
So the facilitators, in other words, we are not touching the real facilitators. Is that what?
Correct.
I see.
No, we're not touching them.
Yes.
We're not touching them.
Okay.
And nobody wants to implement the recommendation to stop it.
Yes. Well, there's good reason. There's good reason why those in authorities are afraid, or let me say, are they move slowly in addressing this matter. I wonder what has happened. For example, what has happened to that case in the rural parish where the police found a juicy beef truck with stolen carcass, stolen beef. I wonder what.
Because they were live animals. Live animals.
Yes, I wonder. I don't hear anything further about that. I know people were arrested, so I think that must be before the court. But
yeah, the prayer last in the unit is busy meeting and having meeting with the company and meetings upon meetings with the company. How does the meeting with the company solve that?
Well,
you don't need meetings with the company. You need to take the matter to the court and prosecute under the law.
Well, that's what we are talking about, because the smuggling that we are talking about is illegal. But the smugglers, and those who are supposed to stop the smugglers are in bed. So that's a big problem.
Right? You need a more active media.
Yes.
That's true.
Yes.
We need a more active media.
Yes. I agree with that too. I agree with that. The media is slow. The media is delinquent in its responsibilities. I will admit to that. But you see, gentlemen, what we are talking about here, is a poison pot, because here it is. Big businesses are the ones who finance elections in Jamaica.
Yes.
Big businesses are the ones who provide advertising for media houses in Jamaica.
Yes.
Right? And big businesses are the ones who donate and support the police force too. Right? Now, so the situation that we have to deal with is in this country is that
you missed one point. You missed the point. Big journalists are also recipients of large ace.
Of course. Although I can't put my fingers on anybody, but yes, I agree with you. So here is the situation. Is the corruption is the root of the problem in the country, The corruption, because you have corrupt police, corrupt journalists, corrupt politicians, corrupt businessmen, and they all pool together to form a big pool of dirty, corrupt, stinking water, and that is what we are drinking.
That's what they're giving to the consumers.
Of course, that's what we are drinking. So, as you pointed out, and all three of you pointed out, and people before us too, is that there will have to be a concerted effort to, of course, deal with the loopholes in agriculture, to deal with all aspects that we have to deal with. But at the other hand, it also require a concerted effort by all parties to deal with the corrupt ones among us, because unless we deal with that, this country is not going. I remember we are in 2022 now, gentlemen, and by 2030, what we are supposed to be? Aren't we supposed to be a country where we can do business, raise families, and live peacefully? Is 8 years away. That if my poor maths is correct, and I don't see we reaching that goal in 8 years. If we continue along this path, we're going to take a break.
If we continue on this trajectory,
yes,
we'll be further away from achieving it than we are now.
Let us take a break and come back. This is Rebel Radio. We are talking to Hugh Johnson, Dr. Homer Thomas, and President of JAS, Mr. Fulton, when we're talking about food security. We'll be back.
Ever wanted to share what you know about a crime, but were too afraid? At Crime Stop, we make it easy for you to report on crimes safely and 100% anonymously. All it takes is 4 simple steps. First, contact the tip line at 311 or visit www.crimestop.org or www.311tips.com. Then share what you know anonymously with one of our trained counselors. Any information related to criminal activity is accepted. We don't want to know your identity. We don't record calls or use star 69. And there is no way of tracing tips over the phone or online. You'll also be given a file number for your tip. Next, track the progress of your tip by calling our tip line at 311 and quoting your file number. Finally, if your tip leads to success, you will be eligible for a cash reward. Rewards will be paid out upon request through a trusted disbursement agency with verification process to ensure that your identity remains hidden. Share what you know anonymously.
Keep the island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it. Keep the island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it.
No dash no paper, no dash no plastic. Dispose your garbage responsibly. No know how to recycle, learn it quick. And if you drop it, better pick up every piece of it. Plastics last forever, don't forget the bits. Cause when them touch the street, them end up in the sea. Collect pan the reef where they fish them feed. And when you want seafood, I eat your
Keep
eat.
the island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it. No dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica. With a message to you from myself and the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Shenyang, everyone feel wear a mask where the numbers drop. I don't want COVID, lay you down flat. Nose and mouth to fi cover up that. Oh, sanitize or get hospitalized. Fight the virus and fight for your life, yeah. Nobody talk about say you no response no more. Don't be reckless, cause you test say you no have, you can still get the virus from somebody. Don't be reckless, cause you test say you no have, you can still get the virus. So keep the number down, protect yourself and the people around. COVID in town, 6 feet apart, 6 feet in the ground. Keep the number down, protect yourself and the people around. COVID in town, 6 feet apart, 6 feet in the ground. Hey, stay alive, stay alive, stay alive, stay alive, stay alive, stay alive.
Yes, welcome back to Rebel Radio. And as the had says that we must stay alive, but we need food and clean water in order to stay alive. Gentlemen, I just want you to shift focus, shift gear a little. We're on the same topic, but what can be done? And I want an answer from all 3 of you individually. No, from where you sit, gentlemen, what are some of the steps you think that we must take now and the next 3 years to increase production to the level where at least we can cut our import bill and start selling some, at least if it is more yams. Last week on the program, we were told, one of our guests told us about the big demand for white yams and other tubers. Why we can't focus on areas like those and get some production going that we can earn some foreign exchange. Mr. Fulton, why? Why we can't do that?
Well, I will begin with land reform. I'll begin with land reform.
Yeah.
If you don't get the land into the hands of farmers under condition that they can make a profit, it can't be. One. Number two, I think you need to have three groups of farmers in Jamaica. You do have the small farmers who are pretty much set. Government needs to service them and give them whatever they can. But there's a new group who are the younger farmers coming out of the TS and the Bunny Park and so on. This is a group we need to develop and expand that are tech savvy and can drive agriculture. And therefore it comes back again, making the land available to them and the financing, not as a gift, but as loans that can be serviced. And the third group, we cannot be planning agriculture in this country, and there is no specialized program for that farmer which has over 200 acres. Some of them have had 2,000 acres of land, but there is no program to target them, to assist them. If they want tractor for 2 months to plow land, we are going to get the production. Why can't they get a tractor from one of the government institutions? Plow the land.
Mm-hmm.
What we need is production. And these are the 3 steps that I would take.
Mm-hmm.
The 4th step is to get a special incentive program for people that are earning hard currency and bringing back that hard currency into our economy. Every dollar they bring back, you give them an incentive where you could convert that hard currency into local loans instead of foreign loans, and so on and so forth. So there are some targeted things that there is no program now addressing, and those are a few of those.
You mean like the hotel? You mean like the hoteliers? The hoteliers are earning hard currency. Mr. Fulton.
Yes, but you have people who are exporting Kalaloo, exporting Aki, exporting coffee. If those monies in hard currency is coming back into Jamaica, why not incentivize them just like you do with the hotel sector? The hotel sector get everything they need.
Okay.
But would you agree?
Yes, go, Dr. Thomas.
Would you agree with me? Yeah. Would you agree with me that the time has come for us to be pursuing 2 different types of agricultural policy? One for commercial farmers and the other one for small farmers.
Well, okay.
Yes. Okay, fine. Now, let me tell you why I'm saying this is that the type of policy, the broad brush policy is used is in itself contradictory. And also, they do not provide, they're not compatible. Because when you have a rather having tractor implement, sitting down because they have no tractor to pull the implement. And large farmers, and these implements were to prepare land for small farmers. But you have a commercial farmer whose machinery may be broken down or something goes wrong. But there's nothing in place to ask that the tractor implement be loaned to the farmer for 3 days or 5 days in the commercial operation, and rather that does not exist.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing again is that the broad brush agricultural loan policy. It affects both small farmer and the large commercial farmer. We have to separate the two. And if we separate the two, we'll be able to look at the policy going forward, where we would be having greater output and properly structure the agricultural sector for the export market and to ensure our food security. But you can't have food security based upon the small farmers mixed up with large farmers and commercial farmers. Can't happen.
I see. What do you say about
Can't
that?
happen.
Mr. Johnson?
On a different outlook on it. As it relates to large versus small farmers, um, we have numerous examples across the globe. There are countries that small farmer combined contribute over 30% of the GDP, which even the speckled bird, the tourism industry is getting 3% interest loan, and farmers are getting 8 to 10% interest loan. And the speckled bird don't contribute over up to 30% of the GDP to the country.
Mm-hmm.
And there are countries that small farmers with an average holding of 5 acres produce combined over 30% of the GDP.
Yes.
So, it can be done. And what government needs to do is to be a facilitator and come out of the way of production. Get things like a jacker to complete the production. Get places like, if you want to go to 5 different government regions, get them out of the way, then smooth flow and ease of doing it. Those are the things that are killing us, hurting us, and we are grappling with the separation of large and small.
What I'm hearing Mr. Duncan to be saying.
No country. These large farmers are more productive than the small farmers. The large farmers sometimes get up to 60% money from 60. Smaller people die.
Gentlemen.
So it was
yes.
Gentlemen. Speculation.
Yeah.
We need to have a national consultation with the minister. There's need for national consultation with the Minister of Agriculture.
We are going to try and get the Minister of Agriculture on this program because we want to trash out these matters. Gentlemen, we are out of time.
And we can't have a minister hiding. Gentlemen, you would agree with me that we can't have a minister that is hiding from the stakeholder.
We are going to try and find him, right? But gentlemen, I want to thank you very much for tonight's contribution. And as I said before, this is a continuous program because we have to find a way to provide more and to continue providing food for the country, at least. And so food security is a permanent fixture on Rebel Radio. Well, until next week, gentlemen, I want you to take good care of yourselves. Stay healthy and strong.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Yes, that was the president of the Jamaica Agricultural Society, Mr. Henry Fulton. Dr. Omar Thomas and Hugh Johnson on food and water security. We're going to take a break now. When we return, we'll be going to Guyana to find out what is happening over there. Rebel Radio. Viewers and listeners, welcome back to Rebel Radio. You're approaching the final furlong for tonight's show, and we are going over to Guyana. Our sister country, we're having some problems over there. And we are now joined by Enrico Woodford of Capital News. Mr. Woodford, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
I'm hearing you loud and clear. I hope you are fine. Are you?
Yes, I am. So far, so good.
What's going on in Guyana, sir?
Well, it all depends upon what perspective you would like to look at it, because Guyana has been moving ahead with its oil and gas production.
Okay.
And as a result of that, Guyana as a country,
Yes.
in terms of economic growth and development, Guyana is expected to be doing very well in terms of economic growth. The major challenge is how is that money going to be dispersed throughout the country? And the fight is really over the purse.
Oh, I see. So from an economic point of view, there's lots of money in the bank. I mean, I am going to use a phrase. So here it is. A father, Guyana right now is like a father with a hefty bank balance, but his children are suffering from malnutrition. Is that a correct picture?
Well, I wouldn't go as far as that, but what I would say is, as Guyanese say, you got money, you got bargain.
Okay.
So once you can, once you have access to capital, you can do what you want with it. You can either use it for the development of the entire society and make sure that the society can sustain the development that you put into it. Because as you said, like a father, you can have money and you can buy each child a house. But if that child cannot work and support and sustain that house, it makes absolutely no sense.
Okay.
You've got to find another way to make sure that the society can sustain the growth and can sustain the development that that the money can buy.
Okay. So from where you are sitting, what are the obstacles in that holding back that are in that path right now?
The major obstacles are political, where decisions are made based on political patronage, and political patronage is tied to racial composition in most cases.
Yes.
Meaning that our political parties are divided along ethnic lines.
Yes, sir.
We don't like to say it, but it happens all the time.
Okay. So is it a case now, sir, where the Indians are in power and the Afro-Guyanese are sucking salt through a wooden spoon?
If you speak with a lot of Afro-Guyanese leaders and a lot of Afro-Guyanese on the ground, they will tell you that.
Okay.
Yes, but there are Afro-Guyanese who are with the party that is in power at the moment, the party that is predominantly supported by Indian Guyanese.
Yeah.
And I don't really like to use those terms, but we have to for the sake of the conversation.
Yes.
I will say, well, no, we are also getting some a bite of the pie, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So it is an ethnicity running after money.
Okay. Now, this seems to be running out of control because because
Say again?
this situation, this one-sided, what appeared to be a one-sided situation, seems to be running out of control. Because, for example, I was told last week that there was a World Bank report showing that poverty was growing in Guyana. Are you aware of that?
That's a challenge. That is the challenge because the fact that you have money in a society doesn't mean that that money will trickle down to the average person. And even if it does, you have to make sure that the average person can sustain whatever level of growth or development you're putting that person at. So
Okay.
one has to look at it from that point of view.
Yes, I see. So tell us then, the average Guyanese, for example, what is the minimum wage in Guyana at this time?
I can't remember specifically what the minimum wage is,
Okay.
but the average person works for around 60 to 70,000 Guyana dollars, which
Yeah.
would put it at around 350 US dollars at the higher at the high level,
Yes.
or 300 US dollars. In some cases, persons work for less than that per month.
Okay. Okay. So cost of living is growing higher everywhere. So if I am in Guyana earning 60,000 Guyanese dollars per month, um, what category would you put me in? In other words, can I sustain myself paying rent and buying
No, you
food for?
can't.
I can't.
No, clearly you can't. And there are persons and companies that have to pay that because that is what the revenue coming in for some companies,
Yes.
for some small businesses, is so limited that they are forced to pay that kind of money out. But
Yes.
it is almost difficult for anybody to sustain themselves on that kind of salary because the just rent will take 200 US dollars out of that 350 US dollars.
Yes,
And if
sir.
you include transportation and if you include utilities, including telecommunication charges and what have you, then you're left with very little for food. And that
Okay.
is only if you are living by yourself without having any children, without having a spouse and what have you. It becomes very difficult.
That's
So even today, the leader of the opposition is reported to be calling for 150,000 Guyana dollars as a minimum wage, so to speak.
150,000. But so
Yes, which will take
clear.
it up to that will be in the vicinity of 700 and what have you US dollars,
Yes. So apart from
750 US dollars.
apart from the social issues, which for what you have just outlined to me there is that there's a clear need to rebalance the equation because clearly there are people in the society who are earning big sums, but it would sound as if those at the bottom, which are in the majority, are getting just crumbs.
And and that is the difficulty. And that is the difficulty. How do you ensure money doesn't flow off the face of the earth? Money doesn't flow out of into space somewhere. It if it flows from one place, it goes to another place. It's like water. So it has to go to somewhere else. And it depends upon where you're putting your priorities, how you ensure that money isn't left to corrupt persons and to corrupt transactions.
Yes,
So
sir.
you have groups like Transparency Institute of Guyana, and you have other groups who are working to ensure that they are there are systems in place
Mhm.
that corruption and that squandermania do not occur. Um, and that is also very important in
Mhm.
terms of contracts and how people are benefiting.
Mhm.
There have been accusations that party supporters and party sympathizers get the bulk and the lion's share
Mhm.
of contracts. And if you look at what the two parties have been talking about in Guyana,
Mhm.
there was a, I think it's illustrated in a political uh, cartoon, so to speak. Let me put it that way.
Uh-huh.
A political publication where one party, the opposition party, is pointing out that there are some abuses in the government, meaning issues of domestic abuse and a
Yes.
social thing, while the government responded saying that the other side are crooks, and all the references were about money,
Yes.
financing, and who took $1 million, who didn't take, who took $200 million, and that kind of thing. So
Wow.
one is about money, and the other one is about social wrongs and ills in the society.
Okay. What is the state of the public health facilities and transportation in Guyana at this time?
Well, in terms of public health, we have got both public hospitals and private hospitals.
Yeah.
Uh, and the fact that private people are coming in, some of them are government sympathizers, and building out private hospitals and what have you, it tells you that you're creating a class, even in terms of the health sector,
Mhm.
for people who could afford proper health facilities, and the rest would have to use the public hospital facilities. The public hospital facilities have um, have always been uh, subject to the quality of service that you get, and some people have complained about that from time to time across the country. The other difficulty is in terms of health is issues with regard to preventative health and how you deal with clinics across Guyana,
Mhm.
because Guyana is not just Georgetown, the capital, or the coast, or the few towns that we have, but we've also got to deal with the interior.
Right.
Up to this day, we still have people being flown from interior locations to the city
Mhm.
so that they could have access to proper health facilities.
Okay. And what
In
about
terms of transportation, which you asked,
yes?
we do not have a public transportation system from the point of view of big buses and trains and
Mm.
and things like that. So we're subjected to what we call minibuses. Uh, I'm not sure if you call that in the rest of the Caribbean. I think they call them maxi taxis in Trinidad. Um,
We have minibuses
but
out here too.
you have the minibuses in Jamaica.
Yes, sir.
So we have those, and those are all privately owned for the most part.
Okay.
The ferry systems that cross the river are largely owned by the government, but you still have the water taxis that are privately owned.
Okay.
Internally, we have to use a lot of light aircraft to get to some locations,
Yes.
and those are more likely than not. In fact, nearly all of them are privately owned, except that the army also every now and then uses its aircraft to for some commercial operations.
Okay, but like those private aircrafts, ordinary Guyanese can afford to fly on them.
They have to afford it. I mean, if you were following Guyanese activities on social media, one of the issues that some Guyanese were discussing recently on social media was the price of steak and the price of beef in some parts of the country as against other parts of the country.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so if you live in Georgetown, even the president responded to a well-known journalist in Guyana, sending him prices of beef because the journalist Gordon Mosley raised the issue of the price of chicken and beef and pork in in another section of the country
yes.
where there's that wide disparity, and
Okay.
the pushback was immediate. And even now there are discussions where a restaurant is opening this weekend, and
Yeah,
I think on Friday,
yes.
and there were discussions of whether the price of steak should be $250.
Well, Mr. Wolford, I want to thank you very much for that insightful discussion. Now, I want to join you. I want you to join us again some in the near future to continue this discussion. We are out of time, but I want you to stay safe, and so that you can keep us informed of what is going on in Guyana. Have a good night, and thanks. That is Enrico Woodford, journalist, Capital News in Guyana, telling us about what is happening in Guyana. Want to thank the other guests on our show.